I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I want to say hello to everybody. I hope you guys are doing well. Before we get started on our conversation today, I want to ask you if you can please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Don't forget this podcast is on Spotify. You can just look me up, Boyce Watkins, and you'll find me there. Also, give me a yes in the chat if you can hear me. Let's do a quick audio check. Microphone check 1 2 1 2. Give me a quick yes if you can hear me. Shout out your city. And today we're going to have an interesting conversation. We're going to talk about Mr. Jonathan Majors. Jonathan did an extraordinary interview today on Good Morning America. And he also went as far as talking about Miss Meagan Good and referring to her as his Coretta Scott King. So we're going to talk about that a little bit and kind of just look at it all, not just in terms of what happened to this black man, but also, is Meagan a Coretta? And then also, what are the financial implications of taking these penitentiary chances? So get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt. We're going to get started on drboycetv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. And today I will, I wanted to talk about Jonathan Majors. And I want to ask all of you, how many of you have been following what's been going on with Jonathan Majors? How many of you saw that he was on Good Morning America today? How many of y'all saw his whole situation with that lady, Grace something? I think Grace something or another. That was her last name or her first name, Grace Jabari. I think that was her name. And this really is going to cost him dearly. He's probably going to lose $100 million from a bad relationship. And, this story concerned me, not just because I'm a finance professor who happens to be a black man. I'm really a black man who happens to be a finance professor. And so in my mind, I'm sitting here thinking about what happens in these relationships when they go bad. What happens when a black man takes the risk of dating outside his race and putting himself in danger? Yes, you are in danger because you're in a relationship where there's a disproportionate power dynamic there. The power dynamic, even the people in the Me Too movement would agree with me that when the power is imbalanced in that way, then it's easy for one person to become the victim of the other person's tyranny. And let me know if you know what I'm talking about, because we know that historically, when a white female accuses a black male of damn near anything, the white female is going to be believed and the black male is not. Let me know if you know what I'm talking about. This is all historical. This is all documented. So we've seen the Jonathan Majors situation happen before. It did not make any sense to me. I'm glad Jonathan Majors stood up for himself during the interview. He even mentioned something that I thought was very accurate. He said, if the races were reversed, if you look at that video of her chasing me down the street, if I were chasing her, the police would have shot me in the back. Like, so the reality is that America is such a strange country that a white female has the privilege of chasing you down the street and still claiming that she's the victim. How crazy is that? Does anybody else think that's a little bit weird? That literally, I mean, you're supposed to be scared of this man. You're supposed to be scared for your life. You're mortified, you're petrified, but yet you're chasing him down the street. I don't know about y'all, but when I'm scared of something or someone, I don't run toward the thing I'm afraid of. I run away. I want to get away from the thing that I'm afraid of, not toward it. So this narrative, this false narrative that somehow she's the unconditional victim and that he was just boogeymaning her and harassing her and chasing her down and trying to beat her up, that doesn't fly. The video evidence really does not justify that perspective. So that's the first thing I'm going to say on that. Before I tell you that I think Jonathan Majors is a dumbass. And I say that lightly. I don't want to be mean, but I got to be honest with you. I think when we're young, I think we're just stupid. I think that, the reason I'm going to go ahead and call him a dumbass is because I don't understand why you were in that situation in the first place. Now he went from being a dumbass to a smart ass or an intelligent ass. And let me explain that. The smartest thing he said during that interview was when he said that I shouldn't have been in the car in the first place. I said, thank you. I'm glad you said that. You shouldn't have been there. He said, I shouldn't have been in that relationship. I said, thank you. You that's the answer. That's the answer for the black male. You need to tell your sons this too. The answer is that that if you're not in the situation, then there can't be no situation. If you're not in the room, then there is nothing that somebody can misinterpret, misjudge, falsely accuse, or whatever. And this is something that any black man who has any life experience should be teaching every young black boy that's out here, because I too, in myself, I've had nothing that serious, nothing that could have sit and got me locked up. But I've had people go and tell stories like I talked to Dr. Boyce and he was mean to me. He yelled at me. He's a mean person. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I was at the conversation. I didn't do any of those things. But when you're a black man, it's easy for people to believe that you are evil. It's easy for people to believe that you were the bad guy. And it's hard to unprove that. It's so the way I started to defend myself is there's some people where I'm not even going to have a conversation with you. I'm not going to be in a room alone with you. I'm not going to give you any opportunity whatsoever to even have a situation that is open for potential misinterpretation. No, my wife going to be right here with me because your black woman. See, this goes to this. I'm going to jump forward to what Jonathan said about Meagan Good, being sort of his ride or die now and his backup and everything, his Coretta Scott King, as he calls her. I got a lot to say about that. But literally, that black woman does protect you. My wife protects me. If my wife is in the room and I'm talking to a woman, then no, you can't tell no story because my wife is right there. If I got women that care about me, that are around when you're engaging with me, then no, there ain't no chance for you to make up a story because there are other witnesses around. And this is crazy. This is how hard it is to be a black man, y'all. This is the reality. And I don't think we warn black people enough. I don't think we warn these brothers. I think they get in these crazy situations. This man done lost $100 million in generational wealth. $100 million in generational wealth, which really is $1 billion, because if you take 100 million and you invest it over a generation, it becomes $1 billion. So this man done lost $1 billion in generational wealth because he can't keep his penis in his pants. He can't pick, or if you're gonna pull it out with a black woman, or pull it out in safe spaces. Some of you guys get out here and you get to chasing women and jumping into any vagina within a 100-mile radius, and you don't understand that you are playing with fire. So in this particular case, think about this. There's $1 billion in wealth that was lost because this man had no sexual discipline. And again, I don't want to be mean. I sounded mean. I called him a dumbass. I shouldn't do that. I'm a professor. I'm a little older. I got to have more grace. I got to be more patient. So I'm going to try to do that as I continuously go back to reiterate the fact that you a dumbass. If I was mentoring him, I'd be like, what in the hell were you doing? That was stupid. You are a dumbass right now. Now look at you. Now you ain't doing Marvel movies no more because they ain't going to touch you. Now you in court looking like a criminal when you and I both know that lady is going to be fine. If she was out partying that night, that's what she was. She went to the club that night. How's she going to go to the club if she's supposed to be this victim? I know I've seen real victims, right? We talked about Robin Simpson down in Houston, Texas, who was murdered by her husband. There are real victims out here. There are people that really go through hell. And this is something that is also an issue in our community. We have to confront those men who are abusive toward women. And I don't know, Jonathan, for all I know, Jonathan could be one of those guys. I have no reason to believe one way or the other, but I can say in this particular case, I don't see any evidence, but it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what common sense dictates. It doesn't matter what the facts say. All that kind of matters is history. History says white woman accuses black man goes down. Right. So anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. I actually wrote a book about these topics called Financial Lovemaking years ago when I was on the faculty at Syracuse University. You can go to drboycebooks.com if you want to take a look. And also, don't forget this podcast is on Spotify, so you can look up my name on Spotify and find it there. All right. So let's go to something that Jonathan said that I thought was interesting. And I'm going to give kind of an interpretation of this. And it was kind of a feel-good moment for a lot of us. And I'm not here to ruin the feel-good moment at all. I'm just going to dissect it a little bit. So there's a point where Jonathan makes this point where he says that basically Meagan Good was kind of his Coretta Scott King. And because that was from the infamous recording where his ex-girlfriend had secretly recorded him, which, by the way, she should be prosecuted for that. I think that's highly unethical to record conversations without someone's permission, and it's probably illegal. But then again, she's a white female, so they get away with whatever they want. And anyway, so she recorded the conversation, and there was this whole discussion where he said, I need you to behave with grace, dignity, and class because I'm a great man and I need a great woman next to me as I go off and do great man things. I didn't think there's anything wrong with what he said. I think he was doing some pretty heavy things as far as actors go. White people really liked him a lot. Now, you got to make sure you understand the difference between talented black people and those who've been accepted by white people. Those are two different things. But sometimes we make the mistake of believing that they're the same, that a black person who gets accepted into white society, we see that person as an accomplished black person, when actually some of your most accomplished and most talented people are the people who've been rejected by white society. For example, y'all saw that great interview with Cat Williams. Cat Williams has not been accepted by white society as much as, say, Kevin Hart. Well, if you go pound for pound in terms of quality of comedy, I'm gonna pick Cat Williams over a Kevin Hart. But I don't believe Kevin Hart's bad. I just think Cat Williams is better. So just don't ever make the mistake of believing that acceptance in an integrated society somehow implies that you are greater than people who were never accepted into that integrated society, because a lot of that is nonsense. Sometimes that occurs because you made a deal with the devil. All right. But with that being said, Jonathan gives the whole Coretta Scott King speech and tells his girlfriend, I keep wanting to call her Becky, but that's not her name, so I shouldn't do that. I think is it Grace Jabari or something like that. And he tells her, I want you to be my Coretta Scott King. Now, as you can see in this picture, she can't be Coretta Scott King because she's melanin deficient. There's never been a white Coretta Scott King, so that right there is kind of a little bit weird. I'd probably say to him, well, you know, she can't be Coretta because Coretta is black. You do understand that. And not just black in skin, but black in experience. You know, Coretta had a black experience that molded her into the great woman that she was, because she went through the experience of being married to Martin Luther King and being a civil rights activist and dealing with the ups and downs that come with being black in America. Grace Jabari has none of these things, right? So again, she has her own experience. Maybe if you said, I need a Margaret Thatcher or something, maybe she could have fulfilled that role. Like, I need you to be the Margaret Thatcher of my life, or maybe, I don't know, I need a Julia Roberts. She could probably do that, but she can't be Coretta Scott King because Coretta Scott King is a black woman. So here enters Meagan Good. So Meagan Good comes along, and Meagan is interesting. Meagan really stood by your boy really well in court. She really did her part. She was steadfast. It was great from a strategic standpoint. You know, those two standing together. When you're in a domestic violence situation, it does help to have a woman standing next to you, because how could you abuse women if there's a woman next to you? That's the simple-minded logic that some people use. But the deal is that so she's there. And I really don't know what that relationship means, right? I'm not going to speculate. I don't know if she's there because she sees it as an opportunity to get next to a guy who rejected all black women just a few months earlier. Let's just be clear. If you are so grateful that Meagan Good stood by you, just understand there's a history to this. The black woman has stood by the black man since slavery. Y'all do understand that when Massa wanted to beat you, kill you, stab you, cut your balls off, it was a black woman that would hide you in the basement and feed you cornbread through the floor so that Massa wouldn't come get you. Y'all do understand this. You do, black men, you do understand that black women have really had your back since the beginning. So I don't understand what the proclivity of Hollywood men is to reject black women in such a dramatic way. Also, I think that one of the things that Jonathan would probably have to explain if he and I were talking is I'd have to ask him, why is it that you did what so many other people do, where you turn to the black woman when you're in trouble, but you don't want the black woman when you're on top, right? When you were doing Marvel movies, playing Ant-Man's villain and all this other stuff that you were doing, these pretty epic things, at least in the world of comic book movies, you didn't want a black woman by your side. You wanted Grace Jabari. But now that you are a criminal, now that you are an inch away from a jail cell, you think a black woman looks nice next to you, and that's the best thing that can happen to you. And so I really kind of would love to know what the thinking was behind this. Like, what's the strategy? Like, is this real love, or is this just a fantasy being fed to the black community right now? Because he went out of his way to give the speech saying that she was my Coretta and everything else. And let me just say a couple things. Number one, I know women. I think I saw Essence magazine. Essence magazine wrote an article talking about how wonderful that was and wonderful and romantic and everything else. And I get it. People are emotional or whatever. I'm not that emotional. I kind of see it as like, okay, yeah, he's kind of telling you what you want to hear and making you feel good. But this is a guy who wouldn't have painted the wall with your blood just 6 months ago, right? He had no interest in you a few months ago, but now it's like, oh, she's my Coretta, she's this that, and the other. That's the first part, right? So whether she becomes the Coretta is yet to be determined. Just remember, Coretta was not Martin Luther King's ride or die. She was his wife. She was not his side chick. She was his wife. She was not his main squeeze. She was his wife. So maybe Jonathan will make Meagan his wife, and then she might become his Coretta to some extent. But then there's also the other aspect of this. And here's the thing: this is the part where I become asshole number one. Is I like Meagan Good as an actress. But let me just ask y'all an honest to God question: If Coretta Scott King saw a woman wearing that dress, do you think that Coretta would say, "Yep, she's just like me"? Do you think that I mean, because remember, y'all, I don't know if y'all remember, but Megan got a lot of pushback, and I didn't participate in it because I don't really care about how people dress. But remember, she was married to a pastor, and she didn't quite dress like a pastor's wife, right? And again, I'm not here to be the clothing police for women, though. I want to be real clear about that. But I really wonder, do you think that Coretta Scott King would say, "Yep, that's me. Yep, she's a younger version of me. I did the same thing when I was dating Martin. I went to the club and I was popping my coochie and shaking booty and showing as much cleavage as I could." Like, do you think that is that a Coretta, or have we watered down even what it means to be a Coretta? Have we watered that down? Have we got to the point where we call anybody a Coretta? Like, I could date Suki Hana or Cardi B and be like, it'd be like, "You're my Coretta." Cardi, when you drop it to the flow, you remind me of the march in Selma, because you was marching up that stripper pole real good. I think that just sort of calling someone a Coretta, I know that the Black community loves celebrities. Every study shows that Black people worship celebrities. But I'm just gonna be honest with you. When I visualize my Coretta, I don't visualize Meagan Good. And so I think my wife wants to pop in. She writes me these little notes and expects me to be quiet, and then I immediately tell everybody what she just said. So, babe, I'm gonna send you the link. Just go on in your office. I'm gonna send you the link right now. I'm gonna email you the link so you can hop in. Let me just say this. I got me a Coretta, and so I'm gonna let my Coretta come in here. But I don't know, baby. Y'all women today, y'all need to learn from the old school women. Anyway, let me stop. Before I get myself in trouble. I'm gonna send this link to my wife so she can join. Could y'all do me a favor? Please hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. You're watching drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. But yeah, so let's go back to this whole idea of this sort of Coretta Scott King thing. Okay, so first thing is, give me a yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. Do you feel, does Meagan Good remind you of Coretta Scott King? That's the first question I want to ask you. What do y'all think? Do you think that, like, do you see one and the same? Like, she's the new Coretta, took all the chances that Coretta did, represented what Coretta represented, or do you think that that's kind of an exaggeration? Like, we're just calling everybody a Coretta now. Second of all, let me ask y'all this other question: Is Jonathan Majors a Martin Luther King? Do you think? Now let's sort of break it down real quick, okay? So Martin Luther King was a distinguished scholar. I think he went to college when he was like 15. He got a PhD. He was a man of God. He ran churches and stuff. He was a pastor. He was a civil rights leader who where there were many attempts on his life. He literally put his life on the line for what he believed in. Now, we've talked about the flaws in some of Dr. King's ideology, right? We know that when Dr. King died, he was starting to realize what we realize now, that the game is economics. The game is not just civil rights. He started to realize that he was integrating into a burning house. He started to mention that we've come to pick up our check. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember Dr. King talking about the money? He started talking about the money, right? And it's okay, because Dr. King was much younger than I am right now when he was assassinated. So he had many years of growth to continue. So I'm not making fun of him or anything like that. I'm just saying that he was growing. He was learning. A lot of us have to go through that process. But do you feel that a man who basically is famous because he's been in comic book movies should compare himself or be compared to one of the greatest civil rights leaders of all time? What is it about being selected to be in a Disney film that even qualifies you to begin to see yourself in the vein of a Martin Luther King? Should the standard not be a little bit higher? Now, again, I'm not saying that he's not a great actor. I'm not saying that he's not great for Disney. He's a wonderful asset for Marvel. He's a wonderful asset for the shareholders of Disney. I was one of them for a long time. I sold my Disney stock, by the way, because the company's having some trouble. But yeah, we as a shareholder, when those Black Panther movies were making money, I made money. When Ant-Man movies made money, my family made money. So I was very appreciative of what Jonathan Majors does for the Marvel franchise, which adds to Disney's bottom line, which adds to my family wealth, or did for many years while I was a Disney shareholder. He deserves credit for that. But in no state of the universe, or in any reality or any alternative reality, does being in a damn Disney movie make you the next Martin Luther King? It doesn't. It doesn't. These are actors, people. These are entertainers. Their job is not to fight racism. They're not putting their lives on the line. They're not getting shot at from every angle. They're not constantly getting death threats. They're not out here really trying to elevate the spirituality of the world. They're not fighting horrible battles in the streets. They're getting movie parts. They're getting movie roles. Like he played a villain in a movie called Ant-Man. He was Ant-Man's nemesis. He was a comic book hero. That's what he is. And that's great. That's good for him. There's nothing great about that, though, in my opinion, because remember, you don't understand that talent isn't the same as being selected by white people to be the it guy. You see what happened. He was the it guy. He did something they didn't like. Now he's not the it guy anymore. So he's not a man that's really in control of his destiny in Hollywood, because Hollywood is owned and controlled by somebody else. Cat Williams spent 2 hours and 49 minutes explaining that to y'all in that interview with Steve Harvey, or I'm sorry, with Shannon Sharp. To me, what I see when I see Jonathan Majors is this: I see a guy who bought into the Hollywood dream, which is a nightmare sometimes because it becomes a deal with the devil. He had some success in terms of getting movie roles, with Creed and Ant-Man and all that. He did a great job. He went to Yale for acting school, did a great job. For some reason, he didn't like black women enough to date them, so he dates this lady, and he was unstrategic. She put him, she pretty much, I don't know if she set him up or not, but it felt that way. It felt like he was put in a situation where he was screwing himself up, and now he's lost $1 billion in family wealth because he did not make good strategic choices to protect that wealth. Now, in the Black Business School, we have 4 steps to building wealth. We teach all of our students. We have 162,000 students around the world. We teach the 4 steps of wealth. Wealth is easy, actually, if you know it the way I know it. But then again, I have a PhD in this stuff, so maybe it just comes off that way to me. Number 1 is what we call financial consciousness, financial awareness. We do financial consciousness training every single day at 10 a.m. If you want to join us, just go to drboyceelevate.com. I'll put the URL on the screen. So the first step is consciousness and awareness. You got to know where the money is in order to get it. Most people want money. They don't even know where it is. They don't even know why rich people have more money than poor people. The second step is you have to have a plan. Ladies, if you marry a man who says, I'm going to be rich one day, and then you say, well, how are you going to do it? And he can't explain that to you, then he's never going to be rich, because you have to have a plan. Success does not happen by accident. The third thing you have to do is you have to actually execute and work the plan. This is the biggest struggle in the entire Black community. The solutions to Black wealth are very, very simple. The problem is the implementation. It's like when I was gaining weight and I wanted to lose weight. Losing weight was not complicated. All I had to do was go to the gym and not eat so many Cheetos. The hard part was the implementation. So I was betrayed by my habits. So Black people, you're betrayed by your habits. Limited access to information is not your problem anymore in the age of artificial intelligence and internet searches. That you have more knowledge on your phone than any university in the history of the world. So don't tell me that you don't know what's going on because rich people hide all the secrets. No, they don't. The information is in broad daylight. You just use your iPhone though to follow your favorite rapper, or to check out a big booty girl on Instagram, or to go and watch a Tyler Perry movie instead of using that phone, that valuable tool, to get knowledge that you need. The fourth step, and this is where Jonathan Major comes into play. Jonathan Majors had actually done steps 1, 2, and 3. The fourth step is protecting your wealth. Financial protection comes in many forms. It doesn't just come in the form of insurance policies and trusts and estate planning and risk management and diversification. It also comes with thinking about what kinds of chicks you got coming in and out of your house. If you're a rich dude, Cardi B can explain to you how she will suck you in with that demonic vagina of hers and lure you in like the sucker that you are, and then set her homegirls up to drug you and rob you because you are stupid, because you are not being strategic. You don't understand that a man sitting on a pot of gold and honey can't be running around here just dibbling dabbling with any old chick. So Jonathan Majors hanging out with Grace Jabari, who got him into a stupid situation that was, to me, nothing more than just a fight. It was a lover's quarrel. That's all it was. No need to have the police involved. None of that. But because Grace is a drama queen who don't give a damn about your career, she done made it into an international scandal that's going to make her rich and make you broke. That's what happened. Now you're in damage control mode because you should have been in damage control mode before you had the tragedy instead of after. You should have been proactive instead of reactive. You should have did something before the fact instead of after the fact. And this is your number one problem. If Jonathan Majors had been my son, I would have straight up told him, don't go dating girls like that. Make sure you need to vet every woman that's around you. They are setting you up, dude, because they're putting you out here on magazines everywhere and making the world believe that your ugly ass is the biggest sex symbol in Hollywood. Cat Williams is right. Since when did we think a big nose and all that stuff was attractive? No, they made him into a sex symbol, and suddenly he's attracting all these women, and he thinks it's a blessing, but a smart man knows that ain't nothing but a curse. You are a fat kid being offered all the candy in the world. And if you keep eating all that candy without any discipline, you're eventually going to get diabetes and die. So the worst thing that happened to Jonathan Majors, in my opinion, was when he became this international sex symbol that was attracting all these women. And some of these women are flat out trouble. Some of these women are wolves in freaks clothing. They show up looking good and sexy and with a nice little shape and everything that you like. And some of them are straight up vultures. Now, do I think that this is what's going on with this lady? I can't say. I don't know her. But I'm simply saying to you that a black man has to be strategic, or they will take you down. They will take your black, as quick as they boosted you up, they will take you right down. Because they always got to remind you that they are the alpha, you are the beta. They made you, they can destroy you. They brought you in, they can kick you out. And some of these guys forget that. Now I'm gonna bring my wife in because I need to stop yapping so much and let her talk. How you doing, babe?
No, you were listen. I thought you were doing a podcast with someone else, and so I was letting you do your podcast. But then I noticed you were by yourself.
Yeah. Tiara was gonna come in. Tiara couldn't make it. I wanted to hear Tiara's perspective because she's been in Hollywood all these years, and I wanted to hear like her perspective in terms of what this is going to do to his acting career. But yeah, she couldn't make it. She had to do something with her daughter. So, but I'm glad you're here, babe. So what's on your mind? What do you think about all my ranting? You know how I like to rant.
I don't know if people understand this, but I don't disagree with much of what you say. So it all makes sense to me. It all makes sense to me what you're saying. I think that it speaks volumes to be able to see Meagan Good with Jonathan Majors. And it doesn't surprise me much because when we see our Black men hurting, we hurt. When I see, especially a young Black man in trouble and hurting and getting caught up into some stuff, and when I view it as if the poor little baby, he didn't do nothing wrong. He just got caught in, just like my maternal instincts kicks in, and I want to protect and save. And this is what did they call it? I think it's called slavery syndrome. What's the lady Joy DeGray?
Post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Post-traumatic slave syndrome is just like in my DNA to really want to hurt for any Black man that seems to be hurting the way he was hurting. And to see him kind of eaten up, he has basically lost his career just by an allegation of which he's saying it's my word against hers. We saw the video. She was chasing after me. Who are we now going to believe? And I think all Black women who see that, our heart melts. And I'm sorry, I don't think a big nose is ugly. Big noses are attractive. I mean, it's powerful to me. And big lips to me is not ugly. So I did not necessarily agree with Cat Williams with that assessment, because I think Black is beautiful, and all of the features of Blackness to me is the standard of beauty. So I just want to clarify that part. So I don't think he's ugly. I don't think any Black people are ugly. So I just want to make that point. Yeah, okay, I mean, as a Black woman,
I was being silly when I said I went overboard. I'm sorry, Jonathan Majors. I didn't mean to call you. I don't think you're ugly, man. But yeah, but in all seriousness, though, I mean, do you think that it is? I mean, do you think he's going to recover from this? I mean, he's been sort of leaning on Meagan Good, and the imagery is working out. He's got supporters, right? He's got people that are hearing him. You know, I saw in Essence magazine they were really supporting him with the whole, you know, Meagan Good was my Coretta Scott King analogy.
By saying that, he's putting himself energetically, he's putting himself in the category of a Martin Luther King energetically, just by bringing that up. I mean, she thought she was tearing him down by recording his conversations and making it public. But honestly, I think she was, unbeknownst to herself, in a way, she was putting that out there, and energetically, she was helping him connect himself to the greats, because he says, I'm a great man. And he probably is, but he's connecting that because we're having a conversation about it right now. We're keeping that spirit going when you make these claims. And first of all, how tacky is it to record someone's conversations without their permission? I mean, there's so much context in conversations, like, and it can be edited down, and things can be edited, words could be edited out. Like, you really can't trust, much of what you hear when it comes to conversations. Like, remember, Boyce, we were listening to the Taylor Swift when she was talking about she felt betrayed by the Kardashians because she said that somehow this recording got out of her agreeing to Kanye West discussions, and she was saying that was edited out. Like, I did not agree to that. So we're in an age, right? Honestly, if you think about it, we're in an age right now where we don't know who to believe and who to trust anymore. Our faith in these systems have been shattered. Our faith in Hollywood, the system of this system of television and people being talented and put out there and supported, our faith in these systems, in the integrity of these systems, the judicial system, our educational system, all of these systems, our faith in these systems have been shattered. We don't trust anymore. We don't even trust the news that we get. I mean, I don't know why, Boyce. I just can't stop listening to the Cat Williams clips. Like, every time I listen to a clip that comes up on my social media, I stop and listen to the whole thing all over again. That is fabulous. But what he was saying was shattering, because Steve Harvey was lifted up as the ultimate. He was everywhere. Every time you turn the TV on, he was on mainstream television in that 1-2 hour bit that Cat Williams did shattered all of that. Like it really stole the energy away, as far as I'm concerned. Like we now look at those individuals that he spoke about, whether we believe it or not, we still are questioning it, and we look at it totally different now.
I do agree with that to some extent. And by the way, everybody, could you please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. So I kind of feel like it was like I think you're right. If you talk about Cat, the internet has a short attention span.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's talking about Cat right now. They won't be talking about Cat next week, right? And so what happens is that you just have these moments that kind of erupt, and there are some moments that have a lasting impression, like the slap of Will Smith and Chris Rock happened over a year ago. We still remember the slap, but a lot of things have happened since the slap. Will has made hit movies, Chris has made hit movies. Everybody, the world keeps spinning, and so I think that in the case of Cat, it's okay. He ethered a whole bunch of people. Well, the reality is that I think they're going to ether him back. I think that they're all good comedians and they're very competitive. I didn't believe some of the stuff Cat was saying, like even little basic stuff, like I run a 4.440. That's a damn lie. You don't run no damn 4.440.
Oh,
And
did you see? I sent you the video, Boyce.
yeah, and that was a fake. That video was fake. Anybody who I would give $10,000 right now to anybody who shows me clear evidence that Cat Williams can run a 4.440. He was not running 40 yards. He took his shirt off and just ran. He was bullshitting everyone. That and people believe it's like because we like you and we like your interview, we believe everything you say. We believe automatically you read 3,000 books a year. It's almost physically impossible to do that, right? So I don't. It's that I think Cat. Yeah, I mean, Cat gave his version of the story, but remember, there's a bunch of people that were like, that's not true. That's not what, I think Ricky Smiley came in and did an interview where he was saying, here's proof that that's not true what Cat says. And I'm not saying
that's not true. What did Ricky Smiley say that wasn't true?
Ricky Smiley had his agent on, and the agent was like, yeah, well, you did get that offer, and here's what happened. They gave the whole story in blow-by-blow detail.
There's a lot of people that come in and have supported Cat Williams' story with Ricky Smiley.
I think there have been, right. And what you're looking at is a war. You're looking at a war where you got people on one side who got one version of the facts, and people on the other side, they got another version of the facts. That's all you're seeing, right? And so going back to this thing with Jonathan Majors, I don't think I really don't know if he's going to be able to really come back from this the way he should. I think that he absolutely deserves to still have the opportunities that he had before. But unfortunately, when you're a black man, I believe when you're seen as a predator, even if you were falsely accused, Disney is not going to rock with you like that. Disney is a family company. They don't want to be associated with what are seen as scary black men. And one other challenge that Jonathan Majors has to deal with is there were lots of people in the Yale community, in the acting community, who came out on Twitter and said, I know several women he was abusive with in the past. Now, again, these are still accusations, right? And I think we, the idea of us trying to interpret other people's relationships is flawed to begin with, but that's going to weigh against him. And I think that the Hollywood execs probably factored all that in making their decision. But believe me, it's going to cost Disney a lot of money too. And I just think it was unnecessary. All this is unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot going on. I was having a conversation with my with the girls, my children, and they were talking about how they're boycotting McDonald's, and they're boycotting what's the other one? I'm bad.
Starbucks.
They're boycotting Starbucks. I'm like, why? Why are you boycotting Starbucks? Because of Palestine. And I was just like, oh my God. So all these people, everybody, all of these things that are coming out where it's forcing people not to be neutral anymore. It's like we have to be on one side or the other, and it is splitting families up. It is me and you. We don't agree on everything, although everything that you say makes sense to me, but I don't necessarily agree with everything, even though a lot of what you say makes sense. But people are just disagreeing, and this no longer can we sit on the fence. I will tell you today, I had a conversation with some Filipino people, because I had to have a long conversation with some Filipinos. I sat all day in the office with Filipinos, and they are mad about they're really upset about the migrant workers. They're like, how did they come in this country and they have all these services? I paid tens of thousands of dollars to make sure I did it the right way. It took me many, many years. I did it the right way. And now all these people are coming in. So it's just like all of these social topics, everybody is taking a stance. Everybody is talking and more vocal about their side of things. People are coming forward and telling their truth. And I've noticed that I don't know. I just noticed that people have been really kind of charged up by what's happening in the news. Now, that's what I'm noticing around me. And of course, I didn't necessarily give my opinion, but it's just interesting to sit back and watch how everybody is starting to kind of interpret this information. And to me, I just look back on it and I'm thinking, who do we trust? I just feel like the news has been so divided. We have the left perspective and the right perspective, but we don't have it's hard to be able to disentangle what's really going on. You know what I mean? It's like all these people coming out in favor of what Cat Williams said. Some of these people are coming out saying supporting some of the other people that he attacked. It's just really difficult for me right now, as I look at everything, to really be able to tease out what's really going on right now.
Right.
That way?
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. It is hard to kind of know what's what. And that's why I don't try to guess that. I try to look at what I see and analyze things from various perspectives and try to respect different points of view. And so I think that in the case of Jonathan Majors, what I really see as a black man is I see a black man who put himself in an unnecessary situation that's going to cost him $1 billion in family wealth. I think that was a waste. I think that was bad advice. He should have had better mentors to teach him how to protect his opportunities.
Wait, what are you talking about?
We were talking about Jonathan Majors. You kind of went into other areas, but I'm
just talking about the big picture here about what we can believe and what we not, because it's his word against hers. So wait, you were saying that Jonathan Majors is losing a lot of money.
Yeah, well, when he lost his deal with Disney, that cost him a lot of money, at least $100 million, because Disney was going to pay him a lot of money to do those parts. And I just kind of think it's so unfortunate and unnecessary. It's unfair. It's unfair, I believe. I don't get me wrong. I mean, Jonathan may have done something wrong, but even if he grabbed his phone back from her and hurt her finger, we somehow live in this world where if you hurt a white woman's finger, it's supposed to cost you $50 million. I don't believe that. People have hurt my finger before, and I never once thought that I could get $50 million because you hurt my finger. I think that is, the first reaction should be, okay, restraining order. You stay away from him. You stay away from her. In the story, that to me is the right solution. It's not somebody needs to be punished because nobody really got hurt. She was at the club that night. He was running down the street. He's fine. She's fine. Okay, y'all stay away from each other. That's how I would deal with it, right? And I think that we've lost common sense. I think we get caught up in the politics of everything, believe all women and all this other nonsense that they put out there, or even men. You have men that don't ever believe that a man did anything wrong. They always believe that it's the woman's fault, and that's wrong too, right?
Well, and some of these men. Yeah, the thing is that if you get mad at somebody and you physically hurt them, that's illegal.
It is illegal. I agree. I agree that it's certainly illegal, but I think the magnitude with which you hurt that person should be factored in to the punishment. Yeah. If you hurt me, if you came in and hit me right now and I had a scratch on my face and I'm going and saying she should get 10 years in prison, that would not be right. So that's my thing is good. I mean, seriously, if somebody's in the hospital, then that's a different conversation. But she went to the club. He's running down the street. They're both okay. Maybe they're both hurt a little bit. Maybe they have a little bit of blood. Go on with your life. What really is proven to me in that situation, beyond any doubt, is that they are clearly toxic for each other, and they're not mature enough to resolve their disputes without resorting to violence, which means y'all need to just stay away from each other. Period. That solves the problem. That keeps everybody safe. He can go find his Coretta Scott King. She can go find her milk of magnesia or whatever she wants. And everybody moves on with their lives. But to make it into this big debacle, you know, that's very expensive, and it really takes away from, like, you know, we were just talking last week. I was trying to get everybody to pay attention to Robin Simpson, who was chopped up by her husband in Houston and had her heart cut out of her body, a black woman. And nobody cares because they all focus on whether or not Grace Jabari scratched her finger or broke her finger arguing with Jonathan, trying to take his cell phone. Grace is not a victim to me. Jonathan's not a victim to me. Robin Simpson is dead. You know, like, she was murdered in front of her daughter. That's the stuff I want to pay attention to. And I feel like these celebrity cases just they block our ability to really see the real tragedies happening. There are over 1,000 kids in Ohio, black kids in Ohio, that have been kidnapped in the last 6 months. But yet we talking about this lady and whether or not she scratched her finger. Get out of here with that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we all have kind of a fascination with, you know, celebrities, people who are considered celebrities, and it is really interesting and juicy to see what happens next. So it could be more sensational, and I think heinous crimes, you know, it's a little overwhelming psychologically to just think about heinous crimes like that. I'm thinking about those bodies. Did you hear about the bodies in Mississippi, Boyce, that was found at this prison? 200 and some odd bodies were found in this prison, and behind this prison in Mississippi. And how they found it was that some police officer, I don't know the details of it, but some police officer, I guess, kills a little black kid and puts him in this ditch. And the family found him. And then that's how they discovered that this ditch was basically a graveyard for all of these people. And I guess their family members, they just disappear. The family, they go to prison or something, and their family members can never find them. So, I mean, there's a lot of heinous stuff. I mean, think about what's going on in Harvey, Illinois. Have you heard of that? Where they just boarded up. They just boarded up some.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on with that. Why did they board those people? Did they let them out?
It's inhumane the way people treat. And it really is. If you think about it, a lot of the victims of what we're talking about are Black people.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I mean, it's pretty, you know, it's pretty sad that we don't have the care for our own people as we should, that we're not interested in protecting our own community, because we can't sit and wait for someone else to do it. No one's going to do it.
That is so true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what?
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I think we have talked this into the ground. So I just
wanted to come in because you were by yourself and I thought you were gonna have a guest.
No, I'm usually pretty good by myself too, so it's all good either way.
You're excellent by you don't really need, honestly, I don't even think you need to have a co. You don't need to have anybody here on here with you. I think you do a fine job by yourself. But you know me, I always need to have somebody to talk to.
Well, I'm glad that you're here, and it's great to talk to you, babe. All right, everybody. By the way, Dr. Alicia is a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. Her website, she sees clients on an individual basis and family basis. So if you'd like to learn more about what she does, you can visit coachingwithdralicia.com. That's coachingwithdralicia.com. My name is Boyce Watkins. You can find out more about what I do at boycewatkins.com. I'm going to give a final thought really quickly. All right, so in terms of Jonathan Majors, I don't know what's next for him. I wish him the very, very best. I would say that I think one lesson we're learning again and again and again is that Black men are in danger when they are dating women who are not Black. I understand he wanted a Coretta Scott King. She does not look like a Coretta Scott King, nor does she have the ability to be a Coretta Scott King, in my opinion. Now, if you want to talk about a Coretta Scott King, maybe Meagan Good could be transformed into a Coretta Scott King. But being an actress does not make you into a Coretta Scott King. Being in a Disney Marvel movie does not make you Martin Luther King. So I think that for Jonathan, he's got some growth to do if he thinks that being selected by white people to be in their movies somehow makes you into a great man or better than other African-American people. Because the reality is that there are lots of great Black men out here doing really great work that are busting their butts, kicking ass and taking names, who are not accepted into white society. And those are great men too. So great men. For one of the first assignments for great men, in my opinion, is to build a great Black family, or to support and sustain and protect a great Black family. And you can't do this when you are dating your milk of magnesia. There's nothing wrong with choosing who you want to be with, but just understand that who you marry, where you lay your head, where you leave your wealth, how you build your family does make a difference. And again, but not to make fun of him. I know plenty of people, good people, that are in interracial relationships. I'm not judging, but I am going to say that when the shit hits the fan and this lady makes an accusation against you, they're not going to believe you. Black men have died this way. It's happened for a very long time. Nate Parker lost everything when he had his movie. His big moment was ruined because a lady killed her, or tried to kill herself or something. Or I think she might have killed herself. And then they said it was his fault because he slept with her 20 years earlier or something. So that's the world we live in, and that's what we got to deal with. So protect your sons and be smart. All right, so everybody, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe, and we'll check back in again soon. Also, don't forget this podcast is on Spotify, so if you look up my name, Boyce Watkins, on Spotify, you can find it there. If you'd like to join us for financial consciousness training tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., we're meeting every single day. You can go to drboyceelevate.com. It's a lot of fun. It's a great class. Everybody loves it. You can get lifetime access to all the material and all the recordings at drboyceelevate.com. Have a good night, everybody. God bless you. See you soon. Peace.